So today in the 100 day of code, this is day 4 in FreeCodeCamp. We are going to be doing the introduction to applying the visual design challenge. Visual design in web development is a broad topic and combines typography, color theory, graphics, and animation, and page layout to help deliver a site's message. The definition of good design is a well discussed subject with many books on the theme. I don't really know what the heck we just said there, but whatever. At basic level, most web content provides a user with information the visual design of the page can influence. Its presentational. Okay, let's go to the first because I'm tired of all this. Let's start learning. Apply visual design. Let's create a visual balance using text line. This is the selection of curricular focus applied visual design. The first group of challenges build on the given card layout to show a number of core principles. Text is often a large part of web content. CSS has several options for how to align it with text align property. Text align justify. Oh wait, so we have to use the text align property, and these are the attributes or the values, I guess you say. Text align with justify, text align center, text align right. Cool beans. This is just like in this is normal. Yeah, this is just normal. Alright, so align the H4 tag text, which says Google 4 to the center. So H4, Google, H4 on this is H4, H4. Very cool. So H4, we want to do text, align, and this is gonna be center. Oh yeah, look at that. Very cool. Let's run. Then justify the paragraph tag which contains information. Now let's do the text align justify, and like honestly, let me see what this causes all lines all lines of text except the last line to meet the left and right. So how that Google was founded on. So this is causes all lines of text except the last line to meet the left and right edge. So there's only like one line here. What is it gonna do? Okay, that oh, I mean, I guess not yet. Then not yet. You can specify the width of an element and start using it. And absolute length units. Oops. Haha. Width. You can specify the width of the element using property in CSS. Yeah, okay. So add a width to the property to the entire card and set the absolute value to 4. Then guys, I started to yawn. No, I'm dead. I'm sorry. It's like 11:30 right now. I kinda got home late. It's okay. Blah 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 blah. So right here, I'm guessing in the full card, I want to give this a width of 244 pixels. How much is that gonna look like? Oh, this makes it really small. How much is it? 245, 260, 270. Oh, 45. 265, 275, 285, 211. Very wide. Not so wide. Kind of wide. Alright, so yeah, so I guess if you say justify content, it's gonna be like that. Let's say if we wanted to make it center, cool, it makes it look like a nice little weird shape. If we want to make it right, okay, left, okay, and then justify. If you spell it correctly, I don't know if I justify. Okay, I mean, yeah, it adds a little bit of space in between but I mean, it's cool. It's cool. Cool. Okay, you can specify the height of the element using the height property and the width property. Here are examples. Add a height property to the h4 tag and set it to 25 pixels. Alright, so the h4, let's give it a nice height property. Height. And 20 pixels or 25. And this is for the h4, so I guess the height of it is that. You may need to be okay. Ask you later. I want the border to be like 5 pixels. I don't know. This is actually really cool. Alright, so to make the text bold, you can use the strong tag. This is often used to draw attention and the importance with the strong tag. I'm sorry, I had to yawn, guys. But instead of using the strong tag, we can make it with a font weight of bold. Wrap a strong tag around Stanford inside the... Oh, never mind. I guess we don't have to do that with this font weight bold. So what is it? Stanford University. So we can just wrap that bad boy up in here, up in here, up in here. Run that test and go next challenge. Up in here, up in here. Alright, to underline text, you can use the U tag. This is often used to signify the section of text important or something to remember with U tag. The browser applies to CSS of text decoration underline. Okay, wrap the U tag only around the text. PHP dude. PHP dude. Where is it? PHP dude. PH dude. Students. PH dude students. So the underline tag is a U tag. Cool. And you have to open and close it. Bada bing, bada boom, Mr. Worldwide. To emphasize text, to use the EM tag. Oh, that's very simple. So tag around the contents and give it emphasis. So you want it to wrap around this whole thingy. So inside the paragraph tag, we are putting in a EM tag. Very cool. And you guys see how if we don't close it, everything else is gonna be EM. If we close it, only the things that we put inside of it is an EM. Very cool, right? To strike through text, which is the most horizontal, which is when a horizontal line cuts through across the characters, you can use the S tag. It shows that the section of text is no longer valid. With the S tag, the browser applies the CSS. Okay, so wrap the S tag around Google inside the H4 tag and then add the word alphabet besides it, which should not have the strike-through format. Alright guys, 1 second, I'm about to just drink some water. Okay, so the U tag underlines things, and then the S tag creates a strike-through. So then they told us to give a strike-through next to Google like that. Like, why are you so nasty, Google? Google's a freaking bad place. Bad place. I don't know. I just don't trust it. I really don't. I'm starting not to trust it. I used to like Google until they started taking over things and not like trying to do their own stuff. It's like all they want is data. All they want is sources. Like, what the heck? Anyways, so you can use the HR tag to add a horizontal line across the width of its containing element. This can be used to define a change in topic or to visually separate groups of content. Add an HR tag underneath the H4. Right here. So underneath the H4, we can just add in a nice horizontal rule. Oh, look at that. How cool. Wow. So cool. Alright, so instead of adjusting your overall background or the color of the text to make the foreground easily readable, you can add a background color to the element holding the text you want to emphasize. This challenge uses RGBA instead of the hex code or normal RGBA. RGBA stands for RGBA. Red, green, blue, alpha. RGB values can range from 0 to 100 real quick. 0 to 255, and the alpha can range from 1 to 0, which is fully transparent or clear. It's a great way to adjust opacity. You'll use the background color RGBA 45, 45, 45. Okay. So to make the text stand out more, adjust the background color of the H4 to RGBA value. Okay. So the H4, we want to give this a background color. Background color of RGBA. And what is it going to be? The thing that it was 45? 45, 45, 45. Point or comma. And then what is it? Point. Oh. This nasty color, yo. Ew. And then we also want to remove the height and add the padding of 10. So we will remove the height and give it a padding of 10. Cool. We're awesome. Yeah. Guys, I'm so sorry. The font size of the header tag H1 through H6 should generally be larger than the font size of the paragraph tags. This makes it easier for the user to visually understand the layout and the level of importance of everything on the page. You use the font size property to adjust the size of the text in the element. To make the heading specific... Oh, snap, guys. I'm sorry if the voice quality is kind of sucky right now. I'm kind of leading. Anyways, to make a heading significantly larger than the paragraph, change the font size of the H4 tag to 27 pixels. So, sure. Equals 27 pixels. Wow. Real quick, I just want to do something real quick. Alright, so this is the style, and right here this is what is done. Or let me just do something real quick like this. Alright, so they have created a div. They named it full card. Full card is right here. Full card has a width of this, which we gave it. A nasty border of let's go with 5 pixels. Or let's go 10 pixel. Oops. 10 pixel dashed. And then let's give it a weird color like black or 000. Wow. Very cool, right? Let's give it a background color of pink. Can we do that? Awesome. Cool. I don't know. I just feel like doing something else. Alright, so ID, we have a thumbnail, which I guess doesn't really matter right now. And then inside this, we have a class called card content. So what happens if we change this? Interesting. 0, 10, 0, 10. Alright, so it looks like you guys can see something right here, right? 0, 10. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but it's okay. And then inside our card content, we have two things. We have the card text and then the card links. Let's look at the text. In the card text, we got that alphabet soup, horizontal rule. We have a paragraph that consists of this stuff that we styled. And then underneath that paragraph, underneath the card to context, we have the card links. Interesting. And then the links are aligned. What if we just give them a center? So then they can be normal and they don't want to go into the center. Align right? Will they go right? Wow. They don't want to go anywhere. What? What if I just leave it alone? What? What the heck? What's going on? Why don't you want to listen to me? What the heck? You stupid. Fine. I'm not gonna play with you. Damn, nasty. Anyways, we're talking about box shadows. Very cool. Alright, so the box shadow property applies one or more shadows to an element. The box shadow property takes value for offset X, offset Y, blur radius, spread radius, and color. So offset X, offset Y, blur radius, spread radius, and color. So in this case, there is no spread radius here. We just add a color. Same with this. This is the X, this is the Y, blur radius, and then color. The thumb. Oh, now we give it a thumb. Okay. Wow. Speaking of this, in this video, so hashtag is the ID, thumbnail. Alright, so thumbnail, and we're going to give it a box shadow of the one that's above. So 0 for the X, and we're gonna give it a nice Y spread. We're gonna give it a nice opacity, right? Blur radius. Yes. So now we're just blurring up that shadow, and then now we're gonna change that color to a nice weird black 0.19. Very cool. And then apparently we can do that again. So I want to see this 0 for the X. This is for the Y, 6 pixels. This is going to be for that blurriness. And now we are going to give it a darker mini baby shadow. Very interesting. I'm sorry. Okay, so that is it. I mean, what if we just make it like 111? Then it's a red 256. Ooh, very cool. And now let's give it like a point. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, darkness. Hello, my friend. But we're just gonna keep it simple because we're trying to pass this. Run the course. Very cool. Goodbye, nasty. Now we back to this little nasty white. Like, come on. The opacity property of in CSS is used to justify the opacity, or conversely, the transparency for an item. The value of 1 is opaque, the value of 0.5 is half, and the value of 0 is transparent. Set the opacity of the anchor tag 0.7 using the link class to select the item. So inside the links, we want to give it a nice anchor tags a 0.7. So what is this going to be? We're gonna change this to RGBA or what? So no, the opacity tag or the opacity property. Opacity is a property itself, and we can just 0.7 that bad boy, and all the links are gonna be like 0.7. What is going on? 0.7, is that it? Wow, very cool. Anyways, the text transformation property. Okay, text transformation property in CSS uses to change the appearance of the text. It is convenient way to make sure text on the web page appears consistent without having to change the anchor text content of the actual HTML. Oh my god, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm yawning like a bad boy. Transform the text of H4 to uppercase using the text transform property. So lowercase, uppercase, capital, initial, inherit. Transform, lowercase, transform. So if we do text transform lowercase, this is what happens. Text transform uppercase, this is what happens. Transfers for text transform property to uppercase. Let's test that out. Text. So hey, alphabet looks like it needs to be uppercase, but we're too lazy to make it all caps. So we want to text transform it to capitalize or uppercase to uppercase. Yes, uppercase, because capitalize will only capitalize this right here. Cool. Cool. Now let's do this. We want to play with the font sizes. So font size property is used to specify how large the text element. The rule can be for multiple H1s through H6s. So excuse me. So we want the H1 to be having a font size. This is going to be 68 pixels. Very cool. Very awesome. It sucks. H2 is gonna have a font size of 52 pixels. Very nasty. H3 is going to have a font size of 40 pixels. 32, 48. H4 is gonna have a font size 21 pixels. And then H5, oh my gosh, one more. Font size, oh my gosh, it's gonna have 21. My bad, guys, I can't read anymore. 32, 21 pixels. Now we're gonna have the H6 to be having a nice font size of 14 pixels. 14 pixels, very nice. 14's in the house. Read all the code. You set the font size of each heading tag to the last challenge. Here you'll adjust the font weight. The font weight property sets how thick or thin the characters are in section of text. The font weight. font weight is going to be 800 pixels. Alright. The font weight of H2 is going to be 600 pixels. Very cool, very awesome. Font weight is going to be 500 pixels for that last one. Cool. Font weight is going to be 400 pixels for that one. Font weight is going to be 300 pixels for that one, and font weight is going to be 200 pixels for this one. Cool. Did I do this wrong? 200 pixels. Are you kidding me? I'm not even supposed to write 200. Ugh. I'm so sorry, guys, that I put you guys through this type of situation. It was never supposed to have pixels. Wow. I am a dum-dum. Yo, dum-dum, give me go. So, I guess if you guys followed me throughout the entire, why didn't you guys say something? Change the value of font size property to 16 for the paragraph. So font size for paragraphs is going to be 16 because that's really small and 16 is really big. And we can change the font size for p tags as well. Cool. CSS offers line height property to change the height of each line in the block text. So everything inside this block has a height. Now if we change that height, or I'm so sorry, line height, and it's gonna be 25 pixels. Cool. This challenge will touch on the usage of the pseudo keywords. For example, for the styling, anchor tag can be changed for its hover state. Hover pseudo class selector. Here's the CSS to change the color. Okay, so let's create that. So if we were to want to do a nice little hover effect, we're going to change the color of the text to blue. So blue. CSS treats each HTML element on its own box, which is usually referred to as the CSS box model. Block level element automatically start on a new line. Think headings, paragraphs, and divs, while inline items sit within surrounding content, like images or span. The default layout of elements in this way is called normal flow of the document, where CSS offers a position property to override it. When the position of the element is set to relative, it allows you to specify how CSS should move it relative to its current position. In the normal flow of the page, it pairs with the CSS offset property of left or right and top or bottom. These say how many pixels, percentages, or EMS to move the item away from where it is normally positioned. The following example moves the paragraph 10 pixels away from the bottom. So P position relative. So if we give this a position of relative, it will move away 10 pixels from the bottom. So it pretty much moves up since it's positive. Changing the element's position to relative does not remove its normal flow. Other elements around it still behave as if it's the item, where in default position No, positioning gives you a lot of flexibility and power over the visual layout of the page. It's good to remember that no matter the position of elements, the underlying HTML markup should be organized and make sense when reading from top to bottom. This is change the position of the H2 to relative and use the CSS offset to move 15 pixels away from the top of where it sits on the normal flow. Okay, so H2. So where's this H2 over here? H1 is first, H2 is on the bottom, H1 is first, H2 on the bottom. So we want to change the position of the H2 on the text or on the screen. So when we do that, we want to give this a nice little element called position, and we want to give it an attribute of relative. Okay, nothing's changed, but we give in that, and now we want to move it 15 pixels. Oops. We want to give it attribute of top and move it 15 pixels. So we just moved it 15 pixels from the top. Is that what we want to move it away from the top? Yep. Yes. Okay, so the CSS offset top, bottom, left, or right tells the browser how far to offset an item relative to where it would sit in the normal flow of the document. You're offsetting an element away from the given spot, which moves the element away from the reference side. As you saw in the last challenge, using the top offset moved the H2 downward. Likewise, using a left offset, move an item to the right. Use CSS offset to move H2 15 pixels to the right and 20 pixels up. Okay. So the H2 has a position of relative. So whenever it has a position of relative, we can move it using top, bottom, left, or right. Here, we want to move it 10 pixels to the right, 15 pixels to the right. So we can do right and then put negative 15 pixels. We move it to the right. Very cool. Did that work? Yes. And then pixels up. So we will do top and then 10 pixels up. So negative 10 pixels. Cool. That looked like it worked. I don't know about you. I'm pretty sure it worked. Yes, it likes it. The next option for the CSS position property is absolute, which locks the element in the place relative to its parent container. Unlike the relative position, this removes the element from the normal flow of the document, so surrounding items ignore it. The CSS offset property, top or bottom, left or right, are used to adjust the position. One nuisance with absolute positioning is that it will be locked relative to the closest positioned ancestor. If you forget to add a position rule to the parent item, this is typically done with using position relative. The browser will keep looking up to the chain. Lock the hashtag search bar element to the top right of this section parent by declaring the position as absolute. Give it a top right of 50 pixels each. So when we lock items, we want to give it a nice position of absolute. Position is going to be absolute. And now give it a top of 50 pixels and a right of 50 pixels. That's pretty much it. No, yes. So, or top of the offset. So this is negative, and this is negative. I don't know, guys. So top is gonna be negative 50. Okay, and then right is gonna be negative 50. That doesn't look right. Lol. What if it's gonna be like this? And this is gonna be left. And this is gonna be bottom. Now it's just gone. Okay, so I don't know, guys. So 50 from the top, and then right. That's that's how I feel. What, 50 pixels? Do we do that? Will it make a difference? No. Do we write offset? I don't know. Let's see. Oh. Okay. Okay. The next layout scheme that CSS offers is the fixed position, which is a type of absolute positioning that locks any element relative to the browser window. And similar to the absolute positioning, it uses the CSS offset property. It also removes the element from that. I'm gonna not read when I yawn, because like you guys can't hear me, I can't understand, so yeah boy. Anyways, so similar to absolute positioning, it is used with CSS offset property and also removes the elements from the normal flow of the document. Other items no longer realize where it is positioned, which may require some layout adjustments elsewhere. One key difference between the fixed and absolute position is that the element with a fixed position won't move when the user scrolls. The navigation bar in the code is labeled with ID of navbar. Change its position to fixed and offset to 0 pixels from 0 pixels from the left. After you add the code, scroll to the preview. Okay, so the navigation bar in the code is labeled with the ID of navbar. Inside the header, there's an h1 element, a nav element with an ID of navbar, and then a list item of home and contact. Very cool. So, change its position to fixed. So we want to give this a position of fixed and give it offset of 0 pixels from the top. And give it 0 pixels from the top. Okay. And from the left, 0 pixels. Left, 0. After you've done that, scroll through the preview. Cool. And the next positioning tool doesn't really actually use position, but sets the float property of an element. Floating elements are removed from the normal flow of a document and pushed to either left or right. Oh yeah. Containing space. It is commonly used with the width property to specify how much horizontal space the float element requires. The given markup would work work well as a two-column layout with a section and a side element. Alright guys, so honestly, I'm just gonna quit here. I'm kind of tired right now. I'm gonna just record this and do it tomorrow. Thank you guys, I'm sorry, but day 4 must end now. Don't get me wrong, I do know what we are talking about, but I am tired, so yeah.